Okay. And with that, hello, 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 and welcome everyone to our event, Youth Advocacy and the Youth Movement. I always love how we emphasize the move and the movement. This is the past, the present, and the future of Youth Move National. My name is not Youth Programs as it appears on the screen. I am actually Arc Telos Saint Amor. It's an incredibly long name, so most folks call me by my nickname, which is Tay. My mandatory pronouns are they, them, their, and I'm the executive director of Youth Move National. Gosh, it's been about a year and 4 months now. So still new, but settling in. And I'm super, super excited to be here this evening. We have so much planned for you. You're going to hear a little bit about me and the work we're doing now and the future of Youth Move. You're going to hear from our former executive director, Johanna, who is here. I'm so excited to be able to talk to her. You're going to hear from our current board president, Max, who's actually first up on the agenda. And then we're going to actually open it up to some of our current board members who are going to speak all about themselves, their work in youth advocacy, and all the cool things that they're doing. And where does Youth Move National fit in with all of that? At the end, we're going to have some time for some Q&A. So we're going to open it up to everyone, hopefully just have a really good dialogue going. Tonight's meant to be fun and informal and casual. You can see because we got started 7 minutes late, waiting for folks to come. So it's totally all good. Just relax. It's going to be a fun time. It's not meant to be stuffy and formal for y'all. So with that, however, because we're going to have so many folks answering questions and talking, we just appreciate that if everyone stayed on mute, it sort of helps our sort of presenters stay focused. It also helps eliminate some of that background noise. So if you could stay mute until that Q&A portion at the end, we would super appreciate that. Okay, I think that's most of the housekeeping. So I thought one of the things that I would do just to sort of get us started and to kick us off is I wanted to read our vision statement. And our current vision statement at Youth Move National is, Youth Move National envisions a future in which young people are valued as empowered leaders, advocates, and designers for communities that are built for all youth to thrive. Now, I place an emphasis on all youth to thrive because we know disproportionately not all youth are thriving. A matter of fact, the youth who are not thriving are once again the folks who are intentionally and unintentionally, historically and presently, pushed to the margins, right? So we are talking about our BIPOC youth, our 2S LGBTQI plus youth, our youth who are disabled by the systems, and other folks who are really just experiencing systemic oppression. And we know that these folks, they experience disproportionate health outcomes. We see disparate outcomes as far as substance misuse, houselessness, suicidal ideation. We see them more susceptible to gun violence and the effects of climate change. So really just across the board, we want to see all youth thriving, but we know not all youth are thriving, which is one of the reasons why we exist and we're here and we're really fighting and focusing on amplifying those youth communities who are really, really sort of struggling the most from that sort of systemic harm. So with that, happy little note, I want to welcome our current board president and, dare I say, my friend, Max, into the space. Max, would you agree with that statement? Like, how do you personally, as our board president, how do you feel about our vision statement? What does that mean to you, really? And where do you see us at Youth Move really sort of fitting into youth advocacy and the future of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, I agree 100% with what you have shared. And also that young people, historically and presently, our experiences are very much discounted. There's a lot of youth-based ageism that exists in the world, and youth are not allowed a lot of autonomy with their stories, with their experiences, within systems and out of side of. And I think that a lot of the things that we do really seek to show you that your words have value, your experiences have value, and just because you are a young person does not mean that you don't understand struggle, that you don't understand depression, that you don't understand what is going on in the world around you. So I think in a lot of ways, especially in the country that we live in, young people are very specially equipped with very unique life experiences that older folks in the US just don't get. We don't have to deal with. On top of the fact that they don't have autonomy in their own experiences and lives. And so, really, what I think we do and what I try to do in my day to day life across the youth work that I have done and continue to do is bring youth to the table and not only have them present, but have them heard and have them listened to and have those suggestions implemented. Because I think really, like, they're the folks who we should be listening to because they are our present and our future. And so, yeah, the vision of us, our youth voice and youth advocacy, is at the forefront of everything that we do. And so happy to be here with folks, happy to share this space with folks and talk about our history, talk about a little bit about what we're doing now, and talk a little bit about what we plan for the future. I will also introduce myself. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Max. I use they, them, or he, him pronouns. And I am the current, as Tay stated, the current Youth Move National Board President. I have almost 9 years of experience within Youth Move, starting as a volunteer at Youth Move Massachusetts for many years. I believe I was with them for almost 6 years. And then transitioning into consultant work with Youth Move National. I was and am currently on our Youth Best Practice Committee. Shout out to the Youth Best Practice Committee. And slowly was like, someone was like, hey, you should apply for the board. And I was like, don't think I'm qualified, but sure. And it turns out I was wrong. I was qualified and was a board member for many years. I've been on the board for almost 5 years and now am board president. So I've worked my way slowly up through this. And I don't think that that would be possible without the wonderful people that I have met on that journey and continue to meet. So shout out to everyone in chapters and everyone on staff. It really has been a very welcoming space for me as a trauma survivor, as an autistic and disabled person, as a trans and queer individual. I definitely feel like I am seen, heard, and accepted fully here. I can be a little silly. You all will figure that out sooner rather than later. I am not someone who will sit here and sacrifice I won't sacrifice authenticity and fun in terms of, like, in meetings, I will always bring the jokes, but I'll also bring seriousness. And I think that our space, what I seek to do and what my fellow board members and the national leadership team seek to do is to let folks be their authentic selves. And I think that's something that I haven't had a lot of, but this is a space where I've always felt that that is true. I have also seen an immense amount of growth in the almost 9 years that I've been a part of Youth Move National. I think we've really solidified ourselves, especially I'd say in the last couple of years, as a firm, well-established, well-placed organization who does a lot of really wonderful things. I'm grateful to be a part of it and to also witness it and get to share space with amazing advocates and wonderful people in the community. And I see a lot of things happening for us in the future. I think we are getting more sustainable. I think we are getting more grounded. And I'm really excited to see what our future holds. And with our future, I also want to talk about our past. So thank you for letting me soapbox for a minute about why I love Youth Move National so much. But I am now here to introduce Johanna Bergen, who was our former executive director. Hi, Johanna.
Hi, Max.
So I'm going to let you quickly introduce yourself first, and then I have a couple questions to chat with you about.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for such a warm welcome. It's so good to see familiar faces and to meet new people. So Johanna Bergen, she, her pronouns, live and work in Iowa. I have been, my life has been touched by Youth Move National since 2008. I can't do math. That's a long time ago. But I was a young person engaged in a system of care grant in my home community in Northeast Iowa, being asked to, like, tell a bunch of adults what wasn't working. And I was like, everything? Really? You want me to just come and tell you the truth? And I I thought that that was a sort of a volunteer opportunity that I was going to engage in my community for a little minute. Some of you all might have heard the story where I was voluntold by a caregiver to go to those spaces. So not like the most welcoming opportunity for me. And all these years later, it has become my life's work and much more than a career. So along the way, I met a really cool youth coordinator who was serving on the brand new Youth Move board of directors. And she brought me along to meet Youth Move. So my history started with Youth Move as serving on the board for a couple of terms and really supporting this organization, moving from a program of another organization into its own full growth as a national nonprofit. And just when I was ready to say, this was a great journey, have fun, Youth Move, they put out staff positions, the first job descriptions for what would be hiring our first national staff. And I remember where I was standing and who I was talking to on the phone when I realized that I was going to put my name in the hat to join staff. So a really great more than 10 years on staff with this organization that I love wholeheartedly. And yeah, just really happy to be with you all tonight.
Thank you so much for joining us. And speaking of your experience on staff, can you share with us a little bit about what being the executive director for Youth Move for as long as you were was like?
Oh, what a question, Max. So I stepped into the executive director role as an interim basis. Our director had left and moved on to other opportunities. Our board was really in like norming and storming phase to figure out what do we want to be in our next iteration. And if you work with me, you'll realize I'm a person who throws my hand up and say, hey, I can help out for a few minutes, which is essentially what I did. Not really understanding that that was going to turn into an invitation to serve permanently as the executive director. My passion in stepping into that role really was because I loved Youth Move and I wanted to like hug our chapter network really tight through changes and just keep us really connected. I feel like when I met Youth Move board members for the first time, it felt like I had met family, and I'd never experienced such intensity of that feeling of belonging and being connected so quickly ever before in my life. And I just wanted to give that to as many youth movers as possible. From there, the role of executive director was really like running frantically after all of the ideas from the Youth Move Network as fast as possible and trying to keep up, and really pretending that we had strategy when really what we had was a lot of passion. I'm most proud of the hard work of Youth Move National board members and staff members to realize that we need infrastructure and stability and like policies and boring stuff in place in order to let vision come to life. And a lot of my work I felt like was shepherding that process forward. And then the other thing I would share about my experience is that Youth Move has always been a space, and I see this in chapters and I see this at national, for folks to step up and say, I really care about this thing. And for the team to go, okay, great, let's make that a reality. So for me, that was my continued love and belief that every single individual has the capacity to be a leader. It's in you. You don't need anyone to give you that. It's just about finding the doorway or busting down the window that lets you put that leadership layout in the work. And my passion is helping young people find those doorways, walk through those windows, turn that light on in themselves. And I'm just really grateful for all of the Youth Move team that were like, yeah, Johanna, go build that curriculum, go spend some time on the road training with young people, go do that hard work in amongst all of your other day jobs and responsibilities. And I am connected to you all because of that. I've seen really great, amazing ripple effects come from young people, step in and own their leadership capacity. And I'm just really honored that I was allowed to be a part of that work.
Amazing. And we're grateful that you were such a big part of that work, and so grateful for you joining us today. Can you share a little bit about the feelings and experience that came with transitioning out of being the executive director at Youth Move?
I'll write a book sometime, maybe. Joking, I won't write a book, but I might make a podcast. So I think that for me, the transition, the individual transition, the internal self-reflection and what I needed to do to figure out like, what am I going to do when I grow up in the world? And I fully plan on growing up like 4 more times. So I'm going to keep having those discussions. That was one part of the trip and the journey. But the bigger part of the trip or the journey was like the Youth Move family, right? So I've often said, sorry, y'all that have heard this, like, you don't have to be friends with the people you work with at Youth Move, but like, I'm not going to be surprised if you end up being their friends. And so I really felt like my friends were Youth Move chapter leaders and members and board members and staff members. And I really cared a lot about what their experience was going to be like. And that really was the heart and big work. I would say that 2 things that I'd love to share about the transition. One is that I was a part of, I think about our modern youth movement really being sort of birthed in the sort of late 90s into the aughts. I was not a part of that. I was in middle school. I didn't know, like I wasn't a part of that. I met the people who sort of birthed this movement on the coast and found each other at these conferences and had to do that hard work. And what they talked to me about and mentored me around was that this challenge in the youth movement was apparent to them and they didn't know how to solve it, which was like, we keep getting older every day. But the movement has to keep going. So like, how do we create a cycle? And so I really felt like that puzzle had been sort of given to myself and my peers to work on. And I hope that those of us that took intentional opportunities to say, it's our time to step away and give to this movement in a different way in order to create opportunity for other voices. And really the voices that you all were talking about that really have been marginalized and not given leadership spaces. I hope that I was able to model something in that transition that is a gift that stays in the movement. And then the second thing I would share about the transition is a mentor once sat me down over breakfast and was like, what do you want to accomplish at Youth Move? Like, what are your non-negotiables, the things that you are capable of doing? What are you going to make happen? And my mentor made me write them down. And I wrote them down and within 24 months had accomplished every single one of them. And I think that's the power of committing ourselves to goals and vision, right? And when I got to the end of that list, it gave me the opportunity to say, wow, it's time for a change. It's time for someone else to make a list that I could never make happen. And I'm really I'm excited to be at this event because it's visioned by someone who's not me, and I get to be the amplifier and the cheerleader. So those are a couple of really big things that happened in the transition for me, Max, and I'm happy to share with y'all.
Absolutely. And I think it does come down to like, we are all incredibly passionate about what we do uniquely. Like we all have shared passions, but also our own passions individually that all get to manifest in this space. Because realistically, like youth work is everything. It is everything that impacts young people. And so there is such a broad place to be. Like you can go kind of everywhere with it. What has life since leaving, and I say leaving Youth Move, you're always going to be kind of stuck with us, Johanna. I feel like you know that because you've said that to me before of like, you know, if you leave, you're going to be stuck with us. What has life technically post Youth Move looked like for you?
Sure. I took a really big break and I crawled into a hole and I asked everyone to stop calling me. And I'm really grateful that people honored that request and that boundary. And in fact, I had to like call some of y'all to be like, no, you can talk to me again now. It's okay. So it was a lot about restoration and rejuvenation. I have a family that is moving really fast, and I really was grateful to have time to just like sit and watch them and live the life journey with them. And then unsurprisingly, my creative brain really started moving and waking up at night and having ideas, and I realized like I needed something to do. So I spent a lot of time sort of seeking in the world where was the place that I wanted to be and the work that I wanted to do next. And y'all, Youth Move is a really cool place to live and work and be, and it sets your standards pretty high about where else you might want to live and work and be. And so I was pretty picky about folks I wanted to spend time with. Since this summer, I've done a couple of things. One, I spend a little bit of my time doing some consultation work in that adaptive leadership space that I love so much. Really honored to just help others continue to grow in their leadership capacity. And then I am part-time on staff at the University of Connecticut School of Social Work with the Innovations Institute as of about 3 months ago. And I get to do a couple of things there that are super awesome. One is I'm really thinking about change management and system reform for still mental health, child welfare, juvenile justice spaces. And I get to do like the geeky system things, like how come state systems are broken and what can we do and change policy to make them different. Like I drafted legislation today and it was so cool. And I get to be the champion and the person poking to be like, hey, how are young people telling you this is what you should be doing? Like, show me the money. Like, where are young people driving and directing your care? And I am loving that. So, yeah.
I have one last question for you, which is kind of a broad one, so you can choose how you want to answer it. But in terms of Youth Move, both your history with us and where you see us going now, because again, you're stuck with us, sorry. What tangible or like visual or emotional results have you seen come out of what we do?
There are so many things. I want to be stuck with you all. So let's make that commitment. I love nothing more than seeing two people who I know who have never met before in the real world connect online. Like sometimes I see it happen on LinkedIn. Sometimes it's like group messages cross. Sometimes it happens in real life now that we get to convene together. And I watch them meet each other and understand you have a connection from local Youth Move efforts, and it just became real right now. Like I love that magic. I've always loved that magic. I've seen that happen over and over again. People have joined national staff, have joined the Youth Best Practice Committee, have joined the board of directors because that magic moment happened. So I absolutely love that. I love seeing like there was a sort of a cycle of news stories that were like going around in early June around some change work. And I knew that it started with youth advisors from a Youth Move chapter. And that's not like how the media said it, but I was like, I know where that idea came from. I know the people who are loud about that. I love when that happens. I love when I run into, like I start working in a new state and people, I say, oh, this is what I used to do. And they're like, oh my gosh, guess what the Youth Movers did in our community? Like, people are so proud to brag up on Youth Voice Works when they talk to me. And I love that. Like, just each one of those moments, I know that there's 10 or 100 times where there's someone's life who has been changed by a young person sharing their stories, and they haven't thought to say thank you out loud or acknowledge that to someone else. And so those are all really little wins for me. And then less tangibly and bigger, like I think we are living in a shift of society's understanding of youth mental health and what it means to talk about this stuff and the reality that's happening. And I'm really excited to be a part of what feels messy and hard right now. Like, it's just talking about it doesn't fix the problems, but we're talking about it in a way that's going to make change in the future. And I'm just really excited. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, Johanna, and for speaking to our experience. And thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you.
Yeah, thanks for all of your leadership, Max, and for sticking it out even when you were sort of like, I might be done for a minute. And happy to hang out with you for the rest of the evening.
Y'all just keep roping me back in, but I'm here for it. I love it. Thank you, Johanna. So it is time for me to throw things back to Tay. Tay, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Max. I super appreciate you. And thank you so much, Johanna. You are amazing. You are an inspiration. Like legit, I would not be where I am right now if it wasn't for you, the way in which you transitioned and helped and mentored me. And still to this day, truly, I'm not just saying this because this is being recorded. I truly mean it. I appreciate you so, so much. So to speak about some other folks who appreciate Youth Move and have been involved with their past and just doing amazing works and things, I want to actually introduce everyone to Gary Blau, who has shared a video message with us that I would love to play and show before we move any further, because we have so much cool stuff to get to. So let me see if technology will work for me and if I can pull this video up now. Can folks see that? Thumbs up? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go for it. I hope this works. Let's hear from the awesome and amazing Gary.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Gary Blau, and I am really honored to be with you today to share a few more remarks about Youth Move. Today, I'm actually here in my capacity only as a Youth Move supporter and an ambassador, and to provide some historical context about Youth Move, particularly since I have been called the father of Youth Move. As part of that, I want to recognize who I would say would be the mother of Youth Move, and that would be Marlene Matarese. Marlene also has a Youth Move award named after her for Advocate for Youth of the Year award. And she has done amazing work to improve the lives of young people and to engage with young people. So I want to highlight Marlene also because it was Marlene and I sitting at a meeting many, many years ago where we were talking about expanding the youth engagement activities when we came up with the name Youth Move, motivating others through voices of experience, actually on a napkin at this particular meeting. So Marlene tells me she has that napkin, so I'm hoping she kept it. And over the years, Youth Move has been remarkable in terms of expanding and growing. I have been able to work with some really awesome people in historical leadership, people who were passionate to create Youth Move. Tyrus Curtis was our first chair, and our co-chair was also Marvin Alexander, who became the chair. And the work of Eric Lulo and what he accomplished when Youth Move was actually housed at the Federation of Families. And then when things expanded and Youth Move started to move on it, becoming its own 501c3 and having its own executive directors, got to work with Lacey DeSherry and then, of course, Johanna Bergen, who moved Youth Move forward for many, many years. And now I'm very excited and happy to be working with Tay Telos. So there's, and I'm sorry if I miss people. I really want just to say that I've had this great opportunity to work really closely with young people and watch Youth Move grow and flourish. And I've had great experiences with the young people, going to meetings and having young people tell their stories and experiences. And we even got to go to some international meetings, and Trisha Louise Gurley and Marvin and others. And one of those meetings, we were in Canada, and we found a program there that we actually brought back to Youth Move in America called Dare to Dream America, where Youth Move was giving honorarium and stipends to young people to do mental health promotion and wellness kinds of activities in their schools and in their communities. And as we've seen over these last many years, Youth Move has grown. There are over 50 plus active chapters across the country. And I was so proud when Youth Move was able to get their own SAMHSA grant to become a National Youth Peer Support Center. So lots of amazing history And then lots of exciting opportunities to come. I think as Youth Move continues to find ways to engage young people and to value their involvement, their leadership, that we're going to continue to need Youth Move to focus on things like the workforce and expanding youth peers in the workforce and encouraging youth leaders to go into behavioral health fields and to become our leaders of the future. So identifying ways that we can do that, identifying expanded capacity and access, and continuing the work with our young people. We need a vibrant youth movement that connects with young people across our country and expands the ability for young people to engage in not only the mental health system, but other child-serving systems as well, in terms of substance use disorders, juvenile justice, and child welfare, and then connecting the dots with pediatric primary care. I'm so proud of Youth Move. I'm so proud to be an ambassador and a supporter, and I can't wait to see what happens over this next 10 years. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's awesome. I love Gary so much. That was a fantastic video. I hope y'all enjoyed that as much as I did. I know Gary sent it in, and I intentionally didn't watch it just so I could see it in real time and just be in Gary's glow. So if we've got the mothers and fathers of Youth Move, I hope I'm like the non-binary sibling that keeps to see the non-gendered work moving forward. And so now I kind of want to talk a little bit about that. So I want to talk about the future. I want to talk about where we're going. And I want to talk about some of that work we're doing, that increased growth and capacity. Because I'm here to say, by the end of this calendar year, our organization will see literally the largest it has ever seen increase in staff, capacity, and revenue. So at the end of this calendar year, we will actually have an increased capacity of over 14 paid staff members, which is phenomenal. We will also be over $1 million in purely contract, fee-for-service, and grant work, which is literally doubling the amount that we had last year. And although that is all amazing, and that money and that work helps keep our staff paid and the lights on, those aren't unrestricted funds, right? And so to keep doing that work that we are deeply passionate about, that you have heard from our folks in the past, from our folks in the now, and hopefully from our folks in the future, that we need to continue. So this is no shame in the game. This is intended as a fundraising event. So I just want to talk a little bit about that. So we are looking for donations. And of course, those donations will be used in a variety of ways. But we really want to focus on those tangible results, right? We don't want to speak in riddles. We don't want to speak in coded language. We really want to be direct and transparent with you. So I've listed some things that I think we're really going to be focusing on with those unrestricted dollars with your donations. One, our chapter network, right? It all goes back to our youth on the ground in our local communities throughout the nation. And so your money will go to help support our chapter network. We're now offering micro grants to folks so that they can really help fund their local programming and their community organizing right there in the issues that they're facing locally in their state, their county, their community, right? So it's going to go fund directly the work that our chapter is doing. We're also going to be hopefully offering scholarships to our youth free of charge for some of our trainings, such as our Youth Advocate Leadership Academy and our Youth Peer Support Peer Connect trainings, right? All of which, in which Gary talked about, is a focus on leadership and workforce development, right? So awesome, awesome, awesome opportunity for folks. We're also going to hopefully start, if your donations help us get there, we're going to start up a National Youth Summit and Conference. I know everyone's been talking about it forever. Let's do it. Let's figure out a way to do it so your donations can help add to that. We want to also increase our ability to directly hire youth consultants and actually increase the stipends that we pay our youth with. So again, this money is not going to my salary. Like, I have not taken a salary increase. I'm actually, a little secret, we'll get to it in a second, I am not the highest paid employee at Youth Move National, right? So this money is going directly back out to the community. And to prove that, And to my point, I am going to dedicate $15,000 of my own salary directly back to Youth Move National. Now, I did it this previous year. I came on, I gave $15,000 of my own salary to say, hey, I'm passionate about this work. I'm dedicated. I want to do this as a gesture. I'm going to keep doing it because I truly, truly believe in our mission, right? So if I can donate $15,000, I'm hoping you could give $1, $5, $10, $100. We'd super appreciate it. But, you know, we are not here to have some sort of, you know, a toxic nonprofit or toxic organization where we're taking the money and we're hiding it somewhere. We are not. This is going directly to serve the youth who are struggling in their local communities. Gun violence, climate change, mental and behavioral health concerns. So much is facing our youth of today, right? I was on ACLU's website over the weekend, and we have, I think it's at 509 anti-trans youth bills making its way throughout the nation. And those are passing and they are being enforced. I'm Mexican indigenous. My tribal nation, I'm Coatecan, is down in Texas. I know folks who are literally being investigated by clinical social workers and CPS for simply providing life-affirming, gender-affirming care. So these issues that our youth are facing are very, very real. And this money can really go to help expand our chapter network and really help youth build community for themselves, by themselves, and to find those solutions collectively together because they're amazing. They're already doing it. And so with that, I just want to say I'm so excited about the future. I am going to drop our donation link into the chat. So I hope that you will join me in donating a little bit something to our organization to keep this work going. And I'll be honest, not everyone likes us, you know, and we're not perfect. I'm not perfect, you know. I'll tell you firsthand, as someone who is queer, as someone who is trans, as someone who's autistic, a person of color, someone with real lived experience in trauma, I can tell you firsthand, I am used to people not wanting me to succeed. I am used to people holding us back. But that's the power of lived experience. That is the power of peer support. That is the power of community. That is the power of Youth Move National. That together, collectively, there is no stopping us. So I'm just super excited to see where the future takes us. And I hope you'll join us there because it's going to be great. So I'll keep rambling on as I'm known to do. So I'll try to wrap it up here because, you know, myself and our team, some of us are here tonight. So just want to thank them so much for all their amazing work that they do. We are working hard on our strategic plan, on working on sustainable growth and increased capacity. But you know what? Our board is right there with us, working just as hard. So I actually want to introduce some of our current board members into the space. And we're going to kind of put them on the spot and we're going to ask them some questions around youth advocacy. So one of the first folks I want to pull up is Michael. And I know, Michael, I'm going to add your spotlight right now. So be prepared. You're coming in. Hello, my friend.
How are you doing?
Good. Hey, I know you're new to our board, but not new to Youth Move National. So I'm just wondering, you want to just introduce yourself, talk a little bit about your passion areas and like what's going on with you, and maybe just talk a little bit about youth advocacy and what that looks like in your life, what you've worked on, any tangible results, what you're working on now, what you see in the community, and maybe where Youth Move fits in with it all. All right, I'm gonna stop. It's all you.
Thank you. I appreciate everything. Tay, you're amazing. I want to be the first one to tell you that. So my name is Michael Branch. I am from, sorry about that. I am from Columbus, Ohio, but I guess I'm in California right now. So I've worked with Youth Move Ohio for over a year, but I've been in the youth advocacy space for going on about 10 years now. Starting out with being with Juvenile Justice Coalition in Columbus, helping stop punitive punishment on truancy in schools when I was in high school. back in the day, if you were truant, they would suspend you from school, and we thought that was like catch-22, because like we want to get the kids in school, but if you're marking them as truant and it's suspended them from school, that's kind of like a fork in the road that's not helping us. And so I addressed that when I was a teen. I was on a couple of news features for surrounding mental health and gun violence as a teen. I went to DC a couple of times advocating for mental health and youth advocacy and youth-led projects. But as an adult, my primary thing that I do almost every day is I teach chess to kids, and we do social emotional learning with chess. We teach kids to think through their problems, think through their moves. We ask them, why did they make that move? Just so they can be overall better critical thinkers and to be overall better chess players, of course, but better emotionally intelligent human beings. So let me go down the list of things. I have a note card right here. I got to be prepared with Tay. So with my work in Youth Move Ohio, what we've done in Ohio, we've kind of spearheaded certified youth peer support in Ohio. I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with youth peer support, and you guys have youth peer support, however it's delegated in your state. But in Ohio, we wanted to make a certification for youth peer support and kind of have it be a step into the game for younger people who want to get into the mental health field. So we helped develop the curriculum Youth Move Ohio for our Ohio certified youth peer support. And there was a lot of youth involved in that. One youth, Kaylee, she's in medical school right now, but she was one of the main persons to kind of work on that curriculum and get that implemented. So the tangible results that I've seen, like I said, I've seen the youth peer support implemented. I've seen that help kids immediately. The chess, like I said, I've seen kids learn to critically think. In the youth advocacy, I've seen kids get the information that we have who didn't know that what was going on in their head, and we kind of brought clarity to them, and so that's extremely powerful. Along with teaching chess, I also go into schools and give Ending the Silence speeches. I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with Ending the Silence, but it's basically a mental health awareness speech. I give my personal lived experience, and I've seen kids relate to me because I'm a younger dude and really work through some of their issues. And I also remember being a teen, we had a project. It was What Would Good Look Like? And in that project, I'm sorry, I kind of, this is a lot of work that we did back in the day. So in that project, we did a lot of video shoots. We did a lot of different youth advocacy and mental health awareness events. We would go to different communities, Latinx communities, Black communities, white communities, Nepali communities. Columbus is a very diverse city. And we were asking the same question, what would good look like? And we got a plethora of different responses, really trying to get people to think what their perfect neighborhood would look like and build resources and goals and organizations that help them reach that ultimate goal. And so I'll say all that to say, like, I'm big on prevention, I'm big on youth-led advocacy, and I'm big on mental health awareness. And I hope that displays what I just said. I appreciate everybody. Thank you for your time.
Oh my gosh, you're amazing, Michael. Thank you so much for all the work you're doing. And thank you for joining our board. Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's keep it going. So we met from a new board member. Maybe now we can talk to someone who is awesome and amazing, has been on our board for a little bit, and also serves as our vice president on our executive committee. I am going to welcome Haley. Hello, welcome to the space.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Haley Rizkala. I use she, her pronouns. And like Tay said, I am the vice president of the board. I've been a part of the board for a few years now. And I was actually introduced to Youth Move through a local chapter. And I'm going to share what that journey was like and what it meant to me. So I want to highlight that at the time, our chapter's most powerful source of inspiration was our fellow youth advocates. We were introduced to a world where professionals with decades of experience have traditionally held the reins of power, and it was truly remarkable to witness the passion, courage, and unwavering determination of young activists who are stepping up and making their voices heard. I remember when we formed our chapter in Maryland, shout out to Taking Flight, our primary objective was providing peer support and helping young people navigate the behavioral health systems. But what we really wanted to do was dive into advocacy. And we all wanted to promote positive policy changes in youth behavioral health systems. But we really didn't have a lot of role models to look to for guidance. We started joining statewide committees, trying to provide that youth voice. We felt like we weren't making too much of an impact on our social media platforms. So we started entering spaces that we found to be pretty intimidating. A lot of the time we felt tokenized or too inexperienced to speak up on some of the topics that were being discussed. So when we joined Youth Move, we were immediately given so many tools that better equipped us to handle those situations. I mean, Youth Move was the organization that introduced us to the 8 levels of youth participation. So we were able to have some sort of direction of like, here's where we are and here's where we want to be, and this is how we can get to where we want to be. And that was essential in helping us build confidence. I think that's really what helped us the most during those times. Not to mention it helped us build resilience, which I think was equally as important. We frequently met with a youth program specialist from Youth Move for one-on-one coaching, and we connected with other chapters to hear about their successes and learn from the challenges they'd overcome. And we were fortunate enough to then do that service for some other chapters that we met in the future. And I think we liked being connected to those other youth advocates because they reminded us that age is not a prerequisite for leadership. They demonstrated that it's possible to create meaningful change regardless of your age. And as long as you have a vision and you're willing to work at it, you can achieve it. And they proved that they, and we, because we had really started to feel like we were part of the movement as well as we started like garnering all of these peers and growing together and connecting, that we weren't just the leaders of tomorrow, but we were already the leaders of today by taking all these steps. And I think what brought us together to share in this experience was Youth Move. It sort of put us in that position where we could support each other, while also being in a learning environment. And I think one of the most important lessons that we learned was that we were experts of our own experience and that we could take that to those committee meetings and we could take that to legislation and speak with confidence and not feel inexperienced because we were the experts of those experiences. And we did face skepticism and obstacles that I think would deter anyone, not just people who were younger. But we felt really supported and inspired by our peers, which just helped so much. Our chapter ended up bringing a group of young adults to Annapolis during the legislative session, and we spoke face to face with our legislators from our districts, like people who considered us constituents whose voices they respected. And we really saw the impact of that as voting went on and the legislation went on and certain bills that we supported were passed. And we've actually started doing this every year since that initial event. And I think that experience was a really powerful reminder that you should never underestimate the collective power of voices united by a common cause. Another huge message that Youth Move supports. Because when individuals from all walks of life come together, whether they're youth advocates, advocates for youth, professionals that you meet, people that we've met in chapters across the country, remarkable things can happen. And we also felt really validated by the other youth advocates in those chapters because we all had this innate understanding of a need for urgency, because we recognized that the consequences of inaction were not like this distant problem, but something that we would profoundly impact our own lives. And it really felt good that Youth Move acknowledged that sense of immediacy and used it as a really compelling call to action, and still does. So I guess all of that is to say that our youth advocates are much more than just sources of inspiration or partners to collaborate with. They're our teachers. And Youth Move supports this reciprocal learning and gives additional training and opportunities for growth. And I know that personally, I want to continue to support Youth Move's endeavors and work alongside them to create a better, more inclusive and equitable world for everyone, no matter what their passions are. So that's just a little bit, I think, of a past moving into the future of Youth Move that I'm so happy that I've been able to be a part of.
That's amazing, Haley. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, you are amazing. You're doing amazing work. I legit appreciate you. Thank you for sharing. Okay, we are going to keep it going. I've got so many board members who are excited to share their stories about their youth advocacy work, what they've done, their tangible results, where they're going in the future, and just amazing folks. So I want to invite another board member to the audience to come forward. So I'm looking at you, Javid. How you doing? Hey, good to
Good,
see
thanks
you.
so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
take the floor.
Uh, Thank you, appreciate it. So, hi everyone, my name is Javid. He, him pronouns, and I'm calling in from California. And I actually did not have any experience with Youth Move prior to joining the board, but I did have experience with youth, which is why I kind of wanted to go into more to the advocacy of it. But prior to joining Youth Move, I provided free tutoring to youth that would otherwise not be able to afford tutoring. Because for me personally, when I was going through school, I could never afford tutoring. I kind of got help from my parents and stuff. So I really want to provide that for youth that would otherwise not be able to get any tutoring. And I also interacted with youth through volunteering at the Discovery Cube, which is like a center for children here locally in California that allows children to learn about the sciences. And I was part of a group that came in and brought like fruit flies. So the youth could look at them through a microscope and stuff. So I really enjoyed that. But the reason why I wanted to join Youth Move was because I really wanted to get into youth advocacy. So because of that, I decided to join Youth Move and really to help empower youth voices, providing them with kind of the platform and tools to amplify their perspectives. And after all, like we've heard before, youth are often the most affected by the decisions made in society, but are not always included in the conversation. So, and there's so many challenges that youth face currently, just to name a few: mental health, social injustice, and that's not really understood by policymakers. So, and Youth Move for me was really awesome too, because we really try to be a part of the solution by providing resources, mentorship, and a supportive community, so that youth are able to navigate the challenges. Um, and yeah, just providing the advocacy, education, and awareness campaigns. I feel like we could really help raise consciousness, public consciousness, and help make long-lasting change. So yeah, thanks so much for listening.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Javid, you are doing amazing work. I super appreciate you. I was on LinkedIn the other day and I just saw all the amazing things you're doing. You're like a rock star. Like you're
No,
just doing
thanks.
phenomenal things. I so appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate
Okay.
appreciate you.
Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna keep it going. I don't know why I'm off camera right now. Like I said, I'm having some tech issues. Hey, it couldn't be a public recorded event, right? With some little bit of tech issues. So let's keep it going. I'm going to invite a new board member, another one. We are growing so much, y'all. Rick, I'm looking at you, Rick. I'm so excited to speak to you. I'm gonna welcome you up. So I'm gonna add your spotlight. There you are. Hey, Rick, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah. Share with us all your wisdom.
Yeah, sure. So, I also did not have any prior experience with Youth Move National prior to joining the board. But I've always been really passionate about youth-led advocacy and creating systems of care for youth by youth. advocating for things like co-creation. So I've spoken at various mental health conferences and webinars and panels. For example, the National Federation of Families annual conference, NAMICon. I also have done this project called School Site, which basically sought to identify these evidence-based mental health practices for schools in my county. So we collaborated with the county community of the Department of Community Mental Health. And with that, we were able to secure grant funding, actually. I think it was like $125,000 for the development of a wellness center in our high school, as well as a mobile application that provides students with available services on campus at any time, like spaces of refuge that they could go to during a free period, for example. And so through that, I've also been able to connect with various stakeholders in my community, researchers, leaders. So yeah, that was one of the main projects I've been working on recently. I also work with this organization called Frontiers of Fulfillment. It's this organization that a couple of friends and I co-founded, and essentially we lobby policymakers in our state. I'm from New York, and we've been working on various bills related to school mental health, testifying on them, directly lobbying legislative directors of state senators, and we're trying to reintroduce a couple of specific bills that focus on youth mental health in schools. And the organization basically just focuses on having youth voice guide the creation of these policies that ultimately will end up affecting them. And so I think youth advocacy, to me, it's again not just about empowering them. Well, it is about empowering them. It's not just about giving them a platform to speak. It's about truly valuing the input that they provide after given that platform. And I think it's about recognizing that their perspectives, their unique perspectives and experiences are valuable. And ultimately, it's about not just having them as beneficiaries of the systems we put in place, but rather as co-facilitators of them. So yeah, that's why I engage in youth advocacy.
Rick, that's awesome. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. It's truly an honor to have you on our board. Like, seriously, thank you for all that you do. Yeah, you're doing awesome things. Okay, well, speaking of folks doing awesome things, doing amazing work, we're going to keep it going. I'm going to invite Felicity up. And gosh, Felicity, you're just like, today you're everywhere. You just did another webinar earlier today, didn't you? Where you just got to shine and be your awesome self.
Yeah. I don't know.
Own it. Just own it. Just be the awesome you.
So
It's
hi
good
guys.
to have you.
I'm Felicity, as Ark said. My pronouns are she, her, or anything used respectfully. As Ark said, I kind of show up places and they keep letting me do it. Which is really funny. Because I was a incredibly anxious preteen child, teenager who was scared to talk to people. And I don't know how I ended up here, but I know that one of the major things was joining my local Youth Move chapter, and slowly integrating with other peers my age, who also were like a little scared of the presentations and doing all of this stuff, and being able to sit there and be like, but we're gonna do this, even though we're terrified. So I had a community, which was probably the first time I ever had a community. I grew up in rural Kentucky as a young queer person, who was very odd and peculiar in my local neighborhood, with an anxiety disorder and mental health struggles. So having my first community was vital. And then I got involved because I chaotically did one of Youth Move National's chapter chat. My co-presenter got sick an hour before that we were supposed to present for that chapter chat. And it was the most terrifying moment of my life. But looking back at it now, it was the most vital moment. It changed a lot of things for me. It gave me a lot of confidence and ability to continue with youth advocacy, and meet people who really want to see this change and are passionate about it in a way that was so powerful for 16-year-old me, that changed the game in a lot of the ways of how I view myself and my own personal self-advocacy. I know it definitely helped me advocate for myself, as well as helping others launch themselves into advocacy realms. I'm really passionate about that younger age group, that preteen age group, as a camp counselor, watching them advocate for themselves through all these different channels of the things I've done. I've worked with Kentucky Youth Advocates, and they work with littles, and having them sit up there at the Capitol is one of my favorite memories, is watching these kids shout chants about the justices that aren't correct in the world that they've had with foster care and being messed up by the system, and the system not paying enough attention to them, and watching these 7-year-olds and all the way to 18-year-olds screaming, "You need to fix the system," was vital and life-changing, and one of the most incredible moments that I've ever experienced of my life. And watching them year after year after year come back and advocate for themselves, and not giving up, because I think sometimes it's like nothing's ever going to change, but continuing to be passionate about it and fight for their rights and tell these big scary people in these big scary places, "You're messing us over. Let us get in these systems and let us and use our lived experience to tell you what's really going on in these fields and what we do." And I couldn't be more grateful for advocacy and for youth advocacy, for us young people to get our voice. "Nothing about us without us" is one of the quotes that I've heard so many times throughout all of these things. And it's such a incredible, powerful quote that I love hearing repeated, and hearing people continue to press on and be like, "Nothing about us without us," and work hard towards this tangible thing, which there are changes being made. We are getting more rights, and there's the Youth Bill of Rights here in Kentucky, where youth are told what they have to, what tangible things they can hold and look at when they go into a system, whether that be foster care or the hospital systems, but having something that looks and is real and they can work towards and continue to grow. I'm really proud of my local youth council and all that they've done. We lost a lot of people during the COVID, but we're growing back, and we're going back stronger than ever. I know T was on this, who is our kind of, she rattled us all over, and keeps us engaged, and I'm really proud of her and the work that she'll continue to do. So thank you so much for all the work that Youth Move National does, and that all these people in all these places do. And I'm so grateful for youth advocacy and the role it's had in my life.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Felicity. And we'll take it, but I'm giving it right back to you. Thank you, sincerely. Thank you for all the work and the amazing thing that you are doing. We're nothing without you. You know what I mean? So it's together, collectively, we're out there doing the thing. So gosh, thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to speak to one more person. We are going to open it up after that for some Q&A and some casual conversation. If anyone has questions for any of our current executive directors, past executive directors, our current board members, so there will be some time to do Q&A. But before we get there, I want to introduce our final speaker for the night. Zena, hello, one of our newest board members. It's a pleasure to see you. I welcome
Hi,
you to the
it's nice
space.
to meet
Hi.
you. Hi, sorry. Excuse the background music. I'm at Starbucks right now. Okay, but anyways, hi everyone. So, my name is Zena, and if you don't know me, I'm a high school junior in Sarasota, Florida. And so I guess I'll just start off with kind of explaining what youth advocacy means to me. So to me, it's like the process of like actively identifying issues in the community that directly impact the youth, and also being able to understand the importance of these issues and addressing these issues through voices of youth. And Youth Move National, although I only recently joined, it feels like a really diverse and supportive organization, and I really see it as a space that just unites the voices of youth from like diverse backgrounds who want to advocate for themselves and for their peers. So for like some of the work that I have done with youth advocacy is mainly to address like the health and educational concerns that affect youth today. So I moved with my parents to the US actually when I was 12, and my experience with these like cultural adjustments and with like adjusting to like a new environment is what mainly led me to become involved in youth advocacy. So I joined a youth council of my city like 2 years ago. And this past May, we were able to plan a statewide mental health summit, kind of similar to what you mentioned earlier. But we united like youth representatives across Florida to learn about like different areas of mental health from the policy side of it to the science side of it. And we were able to hear voices of youth advocating for themselves and for their peers. And it was really inspirational. And we were able to learn, I guess, so much about what youth think about like the current mental health education systems offered in Florida. And that was actually one of the concerns I had as well with mental health support. Like in the public secondary school system, the ratio of like the number of school mental health counselors to the number of like high school students is extremely low. And with like when you have like hundreds of students as a counselor, it's really impossible for a counselor to be able to fully support like the mental health needs of each student, or even pay enough attention to the issues that like each youth is facing. And I feel like that is also one area that Youth Move National could look to change or to work on in the future as well. But back to me. So this summer I was able to advocate for like more support for youth in after school educational programs and mental health programs to US senators and representatives through a summit in DC. And that was really impactful to me as well for I guess meeting more youth advocates in the community and in the US. And aside from mental health education, I'm also like really passionate about advocating for just education in general for youth in these underserved areas. So I founded a nonprofit 2 years ago, and we offer like science lectures to underserved schools in like Gambia, in Malawi, and in Mali, and in South Africa. And we are currently also fundraising to build like more science classrooms in these underserved communities in Africa. And I guess that also goes on to one of the tangible results that I've seen, which is, I guess, like the gratitude that these schools and students have shown to our volunteers, like the passion that their kids have in like science learning, despite whatever environment they're in, like despite whether their blackboards are crinkled or scratched, or if they don't have AC. That is something that is like extremely motivating for me and for my nonprofit in continuing our work as part of youth advocates and to educate youth. And also, as the lasting point, I'll mention my own Youth Move Suncoast as well, which I think was recently like promoted to Youth Move Florida. But so Youth Moves Florida or Youth Move Suncoast has been like extremely impactful to my journey as an advocate. And earlier this year, I think some of you might know, but we actually collaborated with a professor from a USF lab in launching a photo voice project, and we organized the local youth and young adult groups to use photography to represent their concerns with mental health. And we were able to present these data to community leaders working in the behavioral health agencies. And these mental health concerns led us to start a social justice committee to provide a safe space for youth and young adults to voice the issues that they see. And we're also drafting a mental health petition that will be presented through fairs and through table. And as a member of Youth Move National Board, I really look forward to continue working in advocacy and also just to inspire more youth to be advocates and for us to kind of voice the issues that impact youth and to be the voice for those who don't have a voice. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Zena. I so appreciate you. I know you're certainly inspiring me, so that's for sure happening. So thank you so much. Okay, so it's getting dark out here, so it's time to wrap up when my porch lights are coming on. I'm being called in. So let's start to wrap up. We've got about 10 minutes left, so I'm gonna stop spotlighting myself. We're gonna open it back up to the full group, and I would just love to welcome questions, comments, Q&A, open conversation around youth advocacy, around me, Johanna, our board, Max, anybody. Let's just have a dialogue. How are y'all doing? How is this landing for y'all? Do you have any questions for our panel, for our participants tonight? Oh, don't be shy, y'all. I can't do silence. I'm so bad at it. As a trained facilitator, I should be leading into that silence, and I can't do it. So come on, help me out. Who's got a question? Michael, please. Ooh, Michael, I see you. I got your hand up. Or was that?
I apologize. I was trying to
Oh, you're
figure
good.
out how to unmute myself.
Happens to the best of us.
Right. I don't have a question. I do want to give everybody their flowers. Tay, you've been an amazing facilitator. You're always an amazing executive director every time you speak. You do amazing work. You're very passionate about what you do. I want to give you your flowers. You're amazing, Tay. To everybody who's spoke today, thank you for speaking. Thank you for sharing your experience. Your work progresses the Youth Move National work and also progresses love in general. So I just want to thank everybody for being on the positive side of history.
And Michael, just like I told Felicity, we're going to take it, but we're giving it right back. So thank you. We're giving the flowers. We're going to keep some flowers, but we're going to give some back to you, Michael, because you're doing amazing work too. So thank you. Who else? We've got a few minutes. We've got so many amazing people in the room. Any questions for anybody? John, please. Yes.
Hey, thank you so much. I was wondering if you could speak more to the work about the Peer Center.
Yes, I can do that. Appreciate that. So we are one of 5 funded technical assistance centers through the federal government. And so that comes in through a SAMHSA grant called Peer Center. And really what we're doing is sometimes shortened to TTA, so training and technical assistance, where we're really helping individuals, organizations, both nonprofit, for-profit, non-government agencies. We're really helping them to build their youth capacity, their youth engagement, how to amplify youth voice. We're doing training on them on how to engage youth, how to incorporate them onto the boards, their workforce, the work that we do. We're allocating a ton of resources, right? So for folks out there at home, we have free to use services. It's a part of the work that we do. So if you are struggling as an individual, an organization, and really could use some help or some training or some technical assistance, please reach out. This is the work we do as one of the, oh, and TJ, see you in the chat, dropping that link. that is our staff hard at work right there, knowing immediately what is up. And oh my gosh, TJ, I may frighten you right now, but TJ is newly our project director of our Peer Center grant. TJ, dare I call upon you to talk a little bit about Peer Center? You can say no.
Well, no, I've been sitting here the last hour and a half just like shocked to hear all the different things that I didn't even know that happened in our history, even when Johanna was here. It was good to learn like that, and then all the things that you all are doing as board members, which is great because we don't get to see that side. And most of you on this call know that I worked in chapter services for the past 2 years with Jasmine and really helping to build and establish that youth movement. But now I'm really excited to step into this role to basically oversee the entire Peer Center grant and all of its deliverables. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of me.
Love it. Thank you so much, TJ. Really appreciate that. And thank you for that question, John. That's great. I think we probably have time for maybe about one more question. I'll do a donation ask, and then we'll wrap it up and we'll bid y'all adieu. So does anyone? Oh, I see. Oh gosh, Miss Pink, hand went up immediately. And Miss Pink, before I welcome you, can I just say, Miss Pink will actually be joining our staff, hopefully here in what, a couple weeks? A couple weeks here?
Yes, it is an honor. It's truly amazing to be a part of the team, you all. This question that I have is for Zena. Considering your age and your experience, I'm very much inspired and moved by everything that you've been accomplishing with the youth and also for yourself. So I'm really interested in your self-regulation through that, because as a certified young adult peer support specialist, like I provide that one-on-one peer counseling services to these youth and young adults who struggle with emotional intelligence. And it just feels that you have that within you, just hearing your voice and just hearing some of the things that you have been through and just your overall story. So I'm just really interested if you are willing to share any strategies or techniques that you have developed within yourself to really maintain that balance and that overall state of being,
Yeah, definitely. So I think for me, like family is obviously extremely important. And I'm really closely connected to my mom and my dad. And also I have a little brother. He's like my emotional support. So I feel like he is like one of the main reasons why I feel like so regulated. He is 2 years old right now. So, really cute. I think another way that I kind of regulate myself is through taking on like artistic approaches. Like I do dance and I also play the violin. And I feel like through musical expressions, they kind of keep me, I guess, like keep me feel regulated. And I feel like sometimes when I'm really burnt out on work or on like schoolwork or things, I just do dance. I go to dance class or I take violin lessons, and they really just help me feel calm. And I feel like for other youth as well, you don't have to be good at music or you don't have to be good at like counting rhythms or dancing. I feel like as long as you do it, it will definitely help with your mental health and with regulating yourself.
Thank you so much for that. Amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zena. Really, really appreciate that. Okay, folks, we're getting down to it. So I am going to, one more time, do a little bit of an ask. So in the chat, I am dropping the link to our donation page. And before we close out, I actually thought maybe I just pull it up really fast. So folks at home, I know this is being recorded. So if you're watching this later so you can see our donation page, what we're really talking about here is supporting youth futures, but also supporting youth nows. And I know that that's not like a real phrase, but I love it and I like it. So I was like, you know what? Executive decision. We're going with it. We need to start supporting youth nows, right? And so really your donation is going to help us amplify youth voice. And, we need to turn the volume up now more than ever. And this page throughout this year of our capital campaign, we're going to be asking for some donations. is going to keep being increased. We're going to add some transparency here. We're going to be throwing up where the money is going, some tangible things that we're doing, maybe adding our strategic plan and some budget. So we're really trying to move forward towards a transparent model to really show you how important this work is and where your dollars are going to support those youth futures, but those youth nows as well. So this is our donation page. Please, please, please help us out. We've got a little bit thing here where that money can go. So there's a lot of opportunity, and you've heard from a lot of truly, truly amazing folks who are out there doing that work. And gosh, just so appreciate all of you. So with that, how about we close out for the night? And I just want to say, gosh, thank you so much, each and every one of you, for all of the things and work that you do. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Okay. Good night, everybody.